EP169, a very special episode of the Down South Photo Show with me, your host, new host, Cam Blake, currently in Alice Springs, the Northern Territory. And on the other screen or in your other ear from Ocean Grove, Victoria, is Mr. Brendan Waits. Now, Mr. Brendan Waits normally hosts this show, but tonight he's not hosting. He's being hosted by us. So we've had a massive response to interviewing each other, and now you're going to cop it. You're in the hot seat, and people want to know all about Brendan. But before we get going, we've got a few little housekeeping things we need to do. How am I going so far?
Doing very well. You're doing very
excellent. Well. So thanks to all of 1,278 subscribers in the YouTubes, and obviously a lot more listening on the audios, which we still don't have the figures on audio, but one day we'll figure out how to pull the figures off and stuff. That's not your job, Brendan. No, it's not your job. You'll sit there and just relax and chill out. Yep,
you're not hosting my camera. Is that okay?
No, good. So a little quick one about our workshops we've got coming up as well. The Tarka on the Cradle is now sold out, which is in August. So if you're looking to join us on a workshop in the next 12 months, you're going to have to look into 2026 and beyond. Should we tell people where we're going in a couple of weeks? Because we're going to Scout somewhere too, aren't we?
Oh, we absolutely should. Should we keep it to the end of the show, or do we want to tell
All right, let's tell them now, because no one listens to the end of the show, as we know. So,
that's true.
So Brendan and I, in a couple of weeks, isn't it? Maybe 2 or 3 weeks, we're going to Kangaroo Island in South Australia to scout for our 2026 Kangaroo Island workshop. Don't ask us when that workshop will be. We're trying to squeeze it into our very, very busy schedules. But we will let you guys know once we figure out when it's going to be. Or it's just going to be a weekend of drinking and playing golf on Kangaroo Island and probably stealing a few photos offline to promote the workshop. We'll see how we go.
Do we work that out? Do they have golf courses on Kangaroo Island?
There is a golf course, and there's a new one being built. But we're not a golf show, Brendan. People are not here to hear about golf. They're here to hear. Is that a word? They're here to hear about you and your photography journey over the last 45 years, at least. So
not
now
you,
not far wrong. So you created a little thing on the interviews, which has worked very well, called burst mode. So I didn't want to break it up. So it's your turn to go through burst mode. So I've created 10 nice, easy questions for you in the burst mode. We're going to get straight into it. So you can answer with one word or a sentence, or you can elaborate. You can take as long as you want. We'll probably have this interview going for an hour and a bit. If you start talking too much, I will cut you off, and we'll move on to the next question. So
it's like being at the Oscars. You get played off. Can you have some music that can come off? I'll get played off.
You keep my wife's name out of your mouth, or you get a slap.
That's right.
So are you ready, Brendan? Are you ready for this interview? Have you been a bit nervous about this interview?
Not at all. This is the easiest Down South Photo Show episode I've ever done. I'm just waiting for the questions. I love it. Thank you for having me on, by the way.
That's okay.
I've been a big fan of the show for years now, and I'm thank you for the opportunity for coming on. Look, when ready, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. And if folks want to ask questions in the comments below while the episode's rolling, then go for it, and we'll try and answer them next week or something like that.
I think that's my bit to say that, not yours. Yeah, if you guys would like to ask some questions as we go, we can put them in the comments below, and we can answer them in next week's show. Right, burst mode.
Go.
Stop. Yeah,
I'm ready.
You're not hosting. All right. First camera that you owned.
One of these. Well, actually, the first camera that I owned, my own camera, was this Pentax K1000. It is not the first camera I used, but it is the first camera that I owned.
First camera. What was the first camera you used? Was it a box brownie or something like that, or?
I put a sheet over my head. No, it was a Hanimex compact 35mm camera that my dad owned.
Right.
Yeah, I borrowed it and took it on my Year 12 geography excursion down the Great Ocean Road. Where else?
Right. Okay. Do you remember, did you take your own film with you, or did your dad supply the film? Was it something like, here's the camera, Brendan, go take some photos with a bunch of film, or were you sort of into it at that point already a bit?
No, I wasn't into it at all. In fact, I vaguely remember getting the camera. I must have asked mum or dad to put some film in it. I mean, or dad at least to put some film in it, or at least give me film, and then I worked out how to put film in it.
Yeah.
I can still remember the camera. It was a black camera because most compact cameras back then were black, 35 mil, with a little slidey face on it.
Yes, I know that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it had 35 written in red.
it might have done, actually, yeah. And it might have had a red line on it or something.
Yes.
And yeah. And I remember, I reckon I shot 24 rolls of film, and I know
24 rolls of film.
Sorry, 24 exposure film, I should have said.
Right.
Thank you for picking that up.
That's okay.
And if I dug really hard, I could find those photos. I've still got them. And I have a photo of, this is how old I am, Cam. I have a photo of when London Bridge on the Great Ocean Road, London Bridge, was still intact.
Right. Very good.
All right. That would have been 1990.
1990, I would have been just starting high school. Yeah. So we a couple of weeks ago we interviewed the wonderful Cheryl, and she mentioned in her burst mode that her folks kept some of the first photos that her and her brother ever took. Do you remember what the first photo you took on that Hanamax might have been?
Well, it would have been on that, probably on the bus.
I was going to say a selfie.
Yeah, something. Yeah, it could have been. No, but I think it was like just, how does this work? And probably just took a photo on the bus. That photo might have got thrown away, but I know I kept the landscapey ones and the group photos. I've got photos with a couple of schoolmates that are. I'm going to have to dig that out at some point and find it, because it's
bring on the next episode. All right. Now you've had a bit of gear over the years. I know you've collected a fair bit of stuff, as I do. What's the oldest bit of gear that you still own, and why do you still own it?
Well, I don't have my original K1000, which I'm bummed out about. I don't know what happened to it, to be honest. It's one of those things that, you move, things go in boxes and they get moved around, and I don't know, they end up in places, God knows where it is. But the oldest, so I have a K1000. This is the one you sent me a couple of years ago. I actually now have 3 of them, but I also have a Pentax Spotmatic up there, which is actually older than the K1000. So and you can see, I'll get it, shall I?
Yeah, get it. Yeah, props are good.
Yeah, props are good. So that's the Spotmatic, and the difference with the Spotmatic, as you know, Cam, is it has a screw mount lens. So that thing. So, and the K1000 was one of the first with the bayonet mount, where you would. Yeah. So it was a lot quicker to change lenses. You would just push the button and take the lens off and line up red dot to red dot and that sort of thing. Yeah. But you can see two very, very similar cameras.
So it's not the K1000. So what is the oldest?
Well, it looks like it's that Spotmatic is the oldest. Well, no, that's not true either. I do have a box Brownie at the shop.
Yes.
Which was made in Heidelberg.
Right. Oh, yes, a Kodak Heidelberg, where my uncle used to
that's right. And it's mint, like it's in brilliant condition. And I put a roll of 120 film in it just prior to BFOP last year, and I still haven't finished it. And I think it only takes 6 photos.
We have a tendency to use 35mm or film cameras and not put film through them over a couple of years, don't we?
Yeah, it's true.
Right, next question. Next burst mode question. Editing or printing? What do you prefer doing more?
Oh, printing.
You prefer, yeah?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, printing's cool. I mean, I'm fortunate enough to run a printing business. A printing shop, Ocean Grove Camera and Photo. The backbone of my business is printing. And even today, I got to put the big 44-inch Epson through its paces. It's got 9 color channels, for God's sake. And the color gamut that thing gives me now is incredible. And there is still that buzz of seeing your image come to life on print. I mean, I enjoy editing, don't get me wrong. I much prefer when I get the edit done to a point where I can print.
The printing, okay, cool. Obvious question that we have to ask: composition or exposure, Brendan? All right, next question.
Composition by a country mile, by the length of the Flemington Strait.
You know what? That question has been asked a lot on workshops lately, and it's almost 50-50 these days.
No, it's not.
Yeah, that's okay. So it's not then. Okay. Do you remember your most favorite photography moment? Like when and where was it? Like, was there one moment, like one of my biggest fans of you, my biggest love of one of your images is that kangaroo on the water shot. But would you say that was your favorite moment? Or was there another favorite moment that you were taking a photo? Maybe it wasn't the greatest image, but maybe it was a nice moment, or, you know, something special happened that you took.
I love burst mode because that is a classic question without notice. And yeah, I mean, the first image that came to mind was the kangaroo on the lake, which we'll show later on.
Yeah.
I think it's retrospective though, because that image has gone on to be very popular. It's gone on to be one of my, well, easily my best-selling image, which is great. But it was a moment in itself. So later on, when we show some photos, I'll walk you through how I got that image, and we'll see if the viewers and listeners sort of, if it resonates with them as well.
All right, sounds good. Okay, if you could have your time over again, what do you think you would change about your photography journey? Would you reckon you'd be exactly where you would be now, or would you be doing something different entirely? I know you've been in retail a while, but you obviously love retail as well. But if you could have your time over again, you reckon you take the similar path, or would you try something different?
I think it would be similar. I would probably, though, try my hand at getting into sports photography. As you know, I'm a big sports fan. And I loved speaking. When we had Michael Wilson on the show, the AFL photographer, a couple of months ago, I was fascinated by his story. I love sports imagery. I love good sports photography. And I think I would have loved to have got into that a lot younger. I can see that maybe heading towards, you know, the back nine of my life, you know, that mainly maybe becoming more of what I do, particularly like local sports events. I love going to the local footy with my camera. It's good, it's great fun. You get some really cool shots. But I also really enjoy photographing big sporting events as well. I've been lucky enough to photograph a few, but I'd love to do more of that. It's just the lifestyle appeals, traveling, going to big sporting events and capturing those. And I think I've got the skill set required to do that now, but I'd love to give it a go, as I say, on the grand stage at a big important sporting event.
Yeah, excellent. Who's your favourite host of the Down South Photo Show?
Without question, it would have to be Glenn Lavender. When
yes, but he took over. I was going to say he's hosted more shows than I have. That bloke. Awesome. Okay, two to go in burst mode. Then we'll start getting into the nitty gritty of it. What makes you tick? What's more important? You know, putting money into experience or putting money into your gear?
Oh, that's a no-brainer. Gear is great, and the mechanics of the industry and when new gear comes out, and I get it. I get all that. These companies have got to survive. They've got to pay employees. They've got to make new product and all that sort of stuff. The difference between a camera from 2010 and a camera to 2015 is not that great.
True.
Yeah, there hasn't been. It hasn't been leaps and bounds since probably 2010. It's really just been, faster autofocus, more resolution, blah, 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 blah. As primarily a landscape photographer, that stuff's not that important to me. And proof's in the pudding. The travel that I did with you last year to Utah, the workshops that we're doing now, the travel I've done through Europe, Africa, these sort of places, it's all about experience. And it's all about, going to these places to capture them. It's like, you've got to have a good composition for the light to fall on, where you've got to have a great place to take a photo of. So it's the experience of going to these places for sure.
Yep. Very good. All right. One last question in burst mode. If you could have a lifetime membership for the Melbourne Football Club or a lifelong membership to any golf club in the world, what would you choose?
The Melbourne Football Club.
I knew that'd be the answer. So, all right, cool. All right, so what we're going to do, that's the burst mode. Thank you for playing. You go home with a free set of steak knives. Well done.
Brilliant.
So what we're going to do, we will share some of your examples of your work as we get through there. I've got a series of questions that we'll try and get through here. And I've thought long and hard about these, Brendan. I've known you for 20 odd years and we're best mates and we know each other pretty well. And I think I know what makes you tick and I think you know what makes me tick. or not tick. But I don't know if everyone out there really gets Brendan Waits, because you're always the host. You're always sort of just sitting at the topics and we have a bit of a discussion about it. I'm usually the one putting my ass on the line on this show and getting chewed out and being all open with details. Now it's your turn to maybe let us into the world of Brendan Waits. So obviously the biggest one is, like, obviously we all know you're from Swan Hill. That's where you grew up. Is that where your photography journey started, in Swan Hill, or was it more so after you left Swan Hill, or where did it all start for you?
No, it definitely had its genesis in Swan Hill, just after year 12. Well, probably. So I did year 12, got that Hanimex camera, used that, and then went to uni in Ballarat for a year and a half, where my academic career started to interfere with my social life too much. So I gave that the flick pretty quick.
Yes. Excellent.
Look, I enjoyed my 18 months at uni. I went to uni and studied business tourism, believe it or not, which I did enjoy it, but I think I was jack of education by that point. And I came back to Swan Hill, so that would have been mid-92, and my brother had just come back from the States, and he bought a Pentax K1000 through duty free.
Yeah.
And then decided for some reason he didn't want it, or it just wasn't his thing.
Yeah.
So he gave it to me. And by that point, I'd probably put a couple of rolls of film through Dad's Hanimex camera. And I don't know whether that was where I got the bug for it, but I happened to be dating at the time a girl who was very keen on her photography, and whose uncle was a very, very keen photographer. And he had a lot of old Pentax gear, Spotmatics, ME Supers, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, okay.
So she was shooting with those. So when my brother had a K1000, it was like, oh, okay, well, the systems all marry up. We can swap lenses, that sort of stuff. So
was that the only thing you swapped, or?
Yeah, it was actually.
Okay.
and I think from there it was like, okay, let's have a go at this camera. Let's try and work this out. Like, and I learned very, very quickly about manual settings on cameras. So playing with aperture in particular. It's cool. The K1000, it's got the look at this, kids. It's got an aperture ring right there.
Yeah.
You can turn and it clicks. And it's very, it's very tactile.
It can work without a battery. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's right. And you've got this light meter where you just put the stick in the middle of the gap.
Yes,
that was it.
Yeah. So would you say though, like, would you say the camera was like, how I spoke about mine last week, where I thought it's more the camera and the tactile feel that I got sort of fell in love with. Do you think you were a bit similar with it? Was it more about the camera mechanism than the actual output of a photo? Or
no, it was definitely no. For me, it was definitely the imagery. It was definitely what it could do. When I saw my first photos, I remember quite well getting a couple of rolls of film back where images had depth of field, like where I had subjects in the foreground that were out of focus and subjects in the background that were out of focus, and I'm shooting on probably on that thing, probably like at f2 or something like that, or 2.8 or whatever, 50mm f2.8, and then that to me started to look professional. If that makes any sense, like, because you remember 35mm point and shoot cameras, they had no depth of field. They didn't have shallow apertures or anything like that. They basically they were pretty much, I would have thought, f8 or f11 or something like that. So being able to shoot at shallow depths of field and use that in landscape photography as well. I think I remember vividly going down to Warrnambool and just camping down there, and there was this really cool sunrise. There was lots of beautiful oranges and stuff in the sky. And I waded out into the water with my K1000 up to about chest height and got almost eye level with just little breaking waves. Yeah. And got those sharp focus with out of focus background clouds, but all the color was there.
Yeah, right.
And you could see the reflections on the water. And I came back home, so it must have been around 93 by this point, and a friend of mine was having his 21st, and I went to Crazy Clark's or whatever, the cheap place in Swan Hill, and got a crappy little frame, an 8x10 frame, and put my Warrnambool sunrise photo in it and gave it to him for his 21st.
Yeah, cool.
And it was really well received. Like it was like, hey, that's pretty good. And, that kind of little bit of encouragement, particularly from your peers, you're sort of putting yourself out there. I mean, this is, the early 90s, very blokey with all my mates and that sort of stuff. And I show an interest in photography and open up to them to show them that I'm quite into photography. To have that be well received, I think was a turning point for me. Sorry, getting back to answer the question, this will go all night if I don't just answer the question.
No, you're good. No, you're good. That's good. This is good.
Answering the question is that, it was definitely the output of the image over the gear at the time. I think I was putting the image first pretty early on.
Yeah, cool. Now, you've mentioned a few times on the show that your dear mum used to do some painting, I believe. Do you think you might have got a bit of, because you obviously got an eye for art and an eye for landscape and color and composition and focus. Do you think that rubbed off on you? Like, was she into landscape painting, or was she just more of a hobbyist, or was it? My
mum was incredibly talented. She was not taught at all in arts or crafts or anything like that, but everything she turned her hand to, she mastered. She could play piano by ear, which was amazing because we normally use our fingers, right? But she could play by ear.
That's a clear lavender joke if I've ever heard one.
A dad's joke. She could sketch, paint with watercolors, charcoal. She was a cake decorator. Like she made my wedding cake, with intricate Australian native flowers all made out of icing, that sort of stuff. Yeah. Like Mum was, she was incredibly talented and just produced incredible work. Never professionally, ever. Always just as a hobby.
But being around that as a kid and seeing what your mum was doing and stuff like that, that's probably rubbed off on you a bit as well. Where, my grandmother used to paint as well. Same sort of thing. I'd be like, oh wow, look at how she created this color, and taking photos would be the same. So there would have been some rub off from there, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I'd say so. Definitely. In fact, I mean, going back a step before when I got my cameras, like when I was in high school, my mum, I think maybe even for Christmas, gave me the old the box of 72 Derwents, the Derwent pencils.
Yeah, they're awesome.
And I do remember enjoying, I think even in like year 11 English, and I wrote a story for some exam or whatever, and I decided to draw a picture for it to go with it, like an illustration for it.
Yeah,
I can't remember what it was, but I know that's what I did, and it was, and my English teacher at the time was chuffed. They were like, people don't normally do, like kids don't normally do that, and I just submitted it with it rather than saying, oh, I've got a picture if you want to see, I'll just put it in there, and yeah. So I don't know. I mean, maybe that sort of left brain, right brain, left brain. Yeah, creativity came early, but definitely I credit my mum as being the source of inspiration for that.
Yeah, awesome. So from there, you got into that. You're in Swan Hill. Then I actually don't remember, or no, I don't believe how you ended up doing the markets at Yamundi up in Noosa. Like you moved up there, with Cell.
No,
but was that
no?
What was Cell?
No. I moved up there with my girlfriend who was into photography.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, we traveled the East Coast for. It was probably about 6 months in the mid-90s. I worked, I just had crappy jobs. I did a clerical traineeship of all things. I just needed money, when I was that age.
You were a bank teller at one stage too, weren't you?
That's right. So the clerical traineeship I did was with a local credit union in Swan Hill. So I was literally a bank teller at the front of the credit union. I did that for about 18 months. And as I say, it was just a means to an end. It was just get some money so I can start traveling.
Yeah.
Growing up in Swan Hill I look back at it now, I love Swan Hill. It's a great little town. I really enjoy telling people that I grew up there. At the time, Cam, and you know this growing up in Greensboro, you can't wait to get out of there. Like it,
no, that's right.
You just, it's like, what a dump, Swan Hill, get out of here, but it is a beautiful little part of the world.
Yeah, totally.
But my girlfriend and I hit the road. We traveled a bit, and look, we ended up on the Sunshine Coast, We might have been starting to get low on money. We were doing a couple of little markets along the way. She was selling her photography mounted.
I was going to ask if she was. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just helping set up the stall and pull it down at the end of the day, and in between just bumming around. And when we got up to Queensland, there was the world famous Yamundi markets up there, and in the Sunshine Coast hinterland there, and we fluked getting a stall there. Well, I wasn't selling my photography; I was really just selling her stuff, and she was selling her photos there, and we just mounted on greeting cards or really basic crappy frames and that sort of stuff. But anyway, as it evolved on, we managed to open a little gallery up at Rainbow Beach, which is on the southern end. It's on the mainland, but it's southern end of Fraser Island. And I was there for a couple of years, and I started doing all the picture framing. So bought a Morso guillotine. Some of you will know what I mean when I say that. Got a matte cutter and a glass cutter, and basically taught myself how to picture frame, and was framing a lot of her work, all the while still snapping away, taking my own photos, and starting to build a little bit of a folio, and then starting to sneak a few of my photos onto her market stall, which I'll be honest caused a bit of friction, but so
Did you sell
they started to sell. It wasn't necessarily selling more than her. It's just some of the photos I had were probably more conducive to that market. They were more marketable images, more commercial images.
All those postcardy ones,
exactly, postcardy, landscapes and wildlife and that sort of stuff. So anyway, look, eventually we split up. She moved back to Victoria, and I took over the market stall at Yamundi.
How long did you did that for a few years though, didn't you?
I did Yamundi from 95 to 2004, so 9 years. Yeah,
9 years.
Well, no, sorry, to 2003, 8 years. So, and loved it. I loved it.
Yeah.
The thing about doing markets, I've spoken to one very prominent Australian photographer about doing markets, and he I won't name him, but he said, you start at the markets, you die at the markets, And I thought that was such a negative thing to say. The thing about doing craft markets, farmers markets, whatever, this sort of stuff, you get to talk to the end user, you get to talk to the punter. Yeah. More importantly, they get to talk to you about your photography, and I loved it. I really enjoyed. In some ways, I was probably bad at it because I would spend 15, 20 minutes talking to one customer about a photo and probably missing out on sales from other people. This guy ever going to shut up, Yeah. But I really enjoyed it. I made very good friends with a local picture framing place at Yamundi called Highly Strung Framing.
Great name.
Who I haven't seen for years. But I would go out. I'd go on a Friday, I'd go to Highly Strung and pick up all my framed prints. And then on my way back through to Noosa, I would stop at the marketplace and set up my marquee and my roof. I'd do it the night before because Yamundi was quite big, the market, what still is. They had security guards there that would look after your stuff or look after your, And then, on a Friday night, I'd do all that and go back to Noosa and then get up at Sparrows and get out to the market. And I had Trevor, the hammock guy, next to me, and he would hang in his Mexican hammocks and sell stuff.
Right.
And I had a lovely lady next to me whose goddamn name escapes me now, but she would sell her pottery on this side, and we were a little family. It was great, as I say, after 8 years of doing that, it was pretty cool. And I think I don't know. I'm going to give you a little side story here. I don't know. I'm not going to claim this to be true. However, I like to think that it is. I honestly think that I pioneered canvas printing in Australia.
That's a big call, Brendan Waits.
It's a massive call.
Yeah. And I must admit, canvas. I didn't know much about canvas until I met you.
Yeah, well, I was doing the markets, and really enjoying selling my framed prints. So they'd all be in frames, they'd be big hunks of glass, and they're actually quite fragile and hard to manage at a market because you got to set it up, you got to pack it down, everything's got to be bubble wrapped, everything's got to be looked after.
Yes.
And the guy that was printing for me at the time, I wasn't printing my own stuff. I had a guy in Noosa that was printing for me. I went in to see him one day. He was printing photos, and he came out with this stretchy canvas stuff in his hands.
Yeah.
And he said, I've just got one of the reps just gave me this stuff. And I'm looking at it, and I said, that's canvas. And he goes, yeah. And I said, can you print on that? And he said, yeah. I said, can you print my photos on that? And he's like, yeah. I said, cool, can we do it? And he's like, yeah, we'll give it a go. So we printed. I still remember the photo. It was like a river shot from Noosa Heads. Printed it on canvas. I took it straight out to my framer, who was like, okay, well, it's just like normal canvas. I can stretch this. He was making artist canvases and stuff. Says, okay. So we stretched it, and I took it to the markets the next day, and I put it up there. Yeah. And it had been on the wall for about probably 30 minutes, and it sold, which is great. However, as I was giving it to the dude, I could see the ink was starting to peel off it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I had to say to him, look, you can't have this one. I'm going to make you another one. Yeah, well, this is a prototype sort of thing.
Prototype, yeah.
Now, I mean, this must have been 1998, something like that, I would have thought. Yeah. So this predates digital cameras. Like, this is all, film and that sort of stuff and processing.
So you're shooting negatives and then printing it onto canvas off negatives.
Well, yeah. So scanning. So I had a scanner. I had Photoshop version 4, I reckon, maybe 3. Really early days.
Yeah.
And the guy that I was printing with had Photoshop, and I remember taking him in. Yeah. Geez, was I taking in, what would it have been on? Like disc, I suppose. Floppy disk, I reckon. The first.
Floppy disk or CDs?
Yeah, floppy disk, I reckon, was the first one, like 3.5 mil floppies, and then CD probably after that.
Yeah.
But yeah, just, and the cool thing about doing canvas was there was no frame, no glass, so they were easier to handle.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I was first to do it. I probably wasn't, but I was certainly first on the Sunshine Coast. I've made a note to do it. So
I've made a note on my notes here that you pioneered canvas prints in Australia. That will be ending up on a bumper sticker somewhere.
So it must be true, right?
Must be true. So after the markets, I don't want to get too much into your personal life with marriage and all that kind of stuff, but you obviously met your wife at some stage along there, who's absolute legend of a woman. You guys are just perfect for each other.
Thank you. We like to think so as well. Sally and I were actually high school sweethearts. Sally's from Lake Boga, just at the road of Swan Hill, and we grew up together and started dating in high school. But then went our separate ways for that 9-10 year period, and it wasn't until 1999 that we reconnected, and 2001 got married. So, so the journey then in photography was you're a married man now. You've got to sort of make a living. We've got to make a real living out of this now.
Well, you disappeared overseas for a while, didn't you? You went and worked over in France or Switzerland?
France. So Sally and I were very lucky to pick up a job. So I left the Monday markets when was that? 2003. 2003. Yeah. So 2003, sort of midway through the year, Sally and I landed a job running a chalet in the French Alps, just through a mutual acquaintance.
Just an easy job running a chalet in the French Alps, just nothing.
Cam, it was the most ridiculous job. I still look back at that sort of, and we only did one season, and the season there's 20 weeks or 22, 24 weeks, whatever it is. It was hands down the toughest job I ever had. I had to learn how to be a concierge in a 5-star silver service chalet. We completely bluffed our way through the interview. We convinced them that Sally could cook, and she can, and she could. Sally made menus for this place. Anyway, long story short, we got to spend a season in the French Alps and then travel Europe for a year, basically, on the money that we earned working in the chalet. And then came back after that. I also did a bit of photography for the company that owned the chalets while I was there. On my first digital camera,
which was
Any
Olympus.
guesses?
No,
I've told you before.
Have you? Oh God, maybe a Canon power shot.
No, it was a Fuji 602Z.
Fuji. I'm ready. I'm going to start.
Yeah, which ran smart media cards.
Smart media cards, which were thinner than a piece of paper. So when you came back, yeah. So when you came back from overseas, it's probably when the most important meeting happened in your life. You came back from overseas and got a job working at a camera shop in Melbourne. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'll tell the listeners that story. It's real quick. Basically came home from broke. Both Sally and I had no money.
Yes.
Our stuff was in storage in Bacchus Marsh, and the only reason it was there was because that's where Sally's sister and brother-in-law were. So we just shipped all our stuff from Noosa down to Bacchus Marsh, and they chucked it in storage for us while we went overseas. So we knew we had to come back to Victoria just to get our stuff. But I spoke to my brother when we were coming home, and I said, "Hey, can we sleep on your floor for maybe a week or two while we find work?" And he was in Brunswick, and he was like, "Yeah, that's totally cool." And got back. I reckon we got back on a Friday because the next day, remember the Saturday Age, Cam? You remember that?
Yeah, I remember the job section of Saturday Age. Yep.
The Saturday Age weighed more than this computer monitor I'm looking at right
That's
now.
right. Yeah, it had 125 pages. Yep.
It was crazy. And I got the employment section out, and I opened a few pages, and I saw the Camera House logo. And it said Camera Action, Camera House, sales position, selling cameras. And it might as well have said Brendan Waite Apply here.
Like, yeah, you have the job. It's surprising there was an ad in the Age because Paul and Tina were tighter than a fish's bumhole. For them to actually run an ad in the Age was quite surprising, but I'm glad they did.
Yeah, but you got to remember, Cam, this is 2004. This is back when there was actually money in camera shops.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's before they started with 5 million and ended up with 2.
That's right.
So you answered the call. Yep.
Yeah. And it was late October. It was just, I basically, I think I called them and sent them a resume, and they called me back real quick. And I had interview with Franco. Franco? Yeah. Mr. Bank.
Franco Natal.
And he basically sat me down and, asked the backstory. Within 3 minutes, he just said, "When can you start?" It was, he knew straight away. He was very good at picking salespeople, and he knew that I'd fit in okay at Camera Action on Elizabeth Street. Went in there and met Ken Blake.
And the rest is history, they say. Do you remember what the first camera you sold was there at Camera House? Do you remember what the first day was like working at Camera House?
Yeah, I do. I remember I made a sale really early. The first compact camera I sold was an Ixus 30. It was $995 on sale for a 3-megapixel camera.
You've got an incredible memory, I'll tell you.
I just remember that because I always knew it was around $1,000, the first sale I made. And then that afternoon, I sold a Nikon D70.
Yeah.
Not that one right there, but...
That would have gone down real well with the old sales people in Camera House watching this new blood come in and undersell him or oversell him in the first day of his job.
I did. I've got to be honest, Cam. I did feel a bit of friction.
It was. I can tell you that there would be.
Yeah, it was
not from me because I couldn't have cared less about selling cameras, but from others.
This guy, he's just coming in here and he's just, he's off the street, wet behind the ears, and he's cameras are walking out the door. What's going on? So it was. Yeah.
Now, just to clarify, you did drop the F-bomb in the interview. Thank you very much. I'll leave you to bleep that out. I'd leave it there. I think it should be fine leaving it there.
We're all adults here.
So then from there, you stayed at Camera House for a little while, but then you and Sal built a house down in Ocean Grove Way and picked up and moved down there. You started working at Geelong Camera House for a while. I think you were managing that. You were managing there for a while, weren't you?
Yeah. So I had basically we fell pregnant, and when that happened, we decided that when our child was born, I would resign. And through our pregnancy, we built a house here in Ocean Grove. The reason Ocean Grove was because I guess it was because of that sort of 10 years I had in Noosa. I fell in love with the coast, even though I was brought up on the Murray River. I fell in love with the coast. the time I had on the Great Ocean Road down here as well. And, when we were traveling Europe and we decided to start a family, we knew we would have to work for a couple of years to get the money together to make all that happen. And through those conversations, like, well, we want to move back to Victoria to be around family. When we have our family, where would you choose? And initially, I reckon it was straight away. We were like, well, the Bellarine Peninsula, because it was still, and it still is to a certain extent, it's not as populated as the Mornington Peninsula side. It's still, it's sort of the good hybrid between being in the country and being on the coast. So, so that was Ocean Grove. So that, we decided to move down here. And then, I went straight into Royd House Camera House in Geelong.
Yeah. Did you transfer as such from Camera House, or did you?
No. I fully resigned. I had about 5 or 6 months off in between when Abby was born. Yes. And it was great. I got to spend the first 3 months with Abby. I was doing a bit of part-time work with my brother-in-law in Bacchus Marsh Plumbing, of all things, and doing markets. I started up the markets when we moved back to Melbourne. I did Flemington Racecourse, Flemington Racecourse Market. I did Yarra Glen. I did Red Hill a couple of times, and I reckon I bumped into Tom Putt out there when I was doing that.
You can't say
early days.
You can't say Tom Putt on this show anymore. That's
sorry.
You can't say
it's a dirty word. And but I was doing the markets, and it was pocket money really, but it kept me in the game, right? And of course working at Camera House as well. But went into Royd House Camera House and told him the story, and he just said, "Well, as luck would have it, I've just sacked our manager." And that was another case. And he straight away said, "Look, you've worked on Blood Alley in Elizabeth Street. That kind of experience is invaluable. Come on board." So, and I loved it. And I've got to say, as soon as I got into that place, I started making changes. It's like, that's not how you sell stuff. Well, I'll show you how to sell stuff. And
that's not how you run a business. So on the back of that, it's a really good segue into what you're doing now, because you left Camera House in Geelong. Did you always have a desire, like all through this period of time from working at Camera Action, then working at Royd's down in Geelong, was there always this master plan going on in the background that, I reckon I can do this and do this better as my own franchise or my own business? Or
there was always the desire to work for myself again.
Yeah.
So as I'd done through my market period, doing the Monday markets, being your own boss, setting your own agendas, that sort of stuff, answering to no one. I really, I understood where I was in the hierarchy at Camera Action, and I understood where I was at Camera House as well. And you're right, I was made manager at Camera House in Geelong pretty quickly, which was great. And I really enjoyed my time as manager there. I made some good friends with the staff who were there. I'd like to think I was an okay boss. I had to make a couple of hard decisions, let a couple of people go, that sort of stuff. But that taught me a lot about running my own business.
Yeah.
The master plan wasn't necessarily to run my own business independently. Originally, the idea was that I was going to buy Geelong Camera House.
Right. Okay.
And I went to the bank and had the door slammed in my face by the Commonwealth Bank. Yes, I'm happy to name and shame them.
Yes.
I had the door slammed in my face at the ANZ because here I was with nothing really. I mean, I had a mortgage. I had 2 young kids at that point. I had a steady job, but I was ready to give all that up to open my own show or do my own thing. And at that point, buying Camera House was still on the table. However, I went to work one day and my boss, Jamie, and look, nothing against Jamie, he was a great guy, a really good boss. I quite enjoyed working for him. He just rocked back on his chair one day, turned to me and said, "We're not for sale." And it was like, okay, all right. And that basically was the catalyst. I think within a week I resigned. And I was just like, you know what, I'm at that point I was late 30s, so 38, 39.
Huge decision at that age with 2 kids, mortgage.
It was, and it was very, very scary. And you read horror stories of people that go into it and lose all their money, and within 2 years they're back at their old job, but with more debt. That really, there was a genuine worry for me. But I don't know. I think I backed myself in. Like I knew that I could sell. That was one thing. I had a track record doing that. But again, that desire just to be my own boss, I think, was the main thing. And it came to pass. I remember sitting in the kitchen table inside there, and I was like, what can we call ourselves? And I always thought a Camera House was a great name. I thought it does what it says on the tin, and so I thought, what can I be called? And I was looking initially for a domain name, and I just thought cameras and photos. That I need to have camera or photo or something. Well, camera and photo, like surely that's got to be taken. So I typed that into the search engine, and lo and behold, cameraandphoto.com.au was sitting there available. I went, that's me. And within an hour, I'd done a basic little crappy logo, and then it was on, like, let's find a shop, let's get it done. And the Bendigo Bank, that's the ones who put their asses on the line for me. Basically gave me a line of credit to get it happening, like an overdraft, a line of credit, and
good sponsors of the show, Bendigo Bank, aren't they? They still hold some of their money, don't they? Is that them?
Not with the Bendigo anymore for camera and photo.
Right, okay. So we'll scrap that bit out about the Bendigo Bank. Cool. And how long has that been going? That's like 10 years.
13. So I'm in my 13th year now. So we started in May 2013, and it's now 2025. So we've gone into our 13th year. Here in Ocean Grove, and it's been a journey.
So do you feel like you are where you should be in your photography life right now? Like, you're obviously running the camera and photo. It's been going really well. Is there still a bigger fish to catch for Brendan Waits, or have you reached that moment where you think, well, you know what, I'm successful, I'm running a retail store, I don't need to do anything more apart from this pays the bills? Or is there a bigger desire for you?
No, there's definitely more. It's not that I want or need to be busier. I'm busy enough with my job, but I think there's got to be more to it. And over the last 13 years, we've had some massive hurdles to overcome. There was a point pre-COVID, so like around, I reckon, 2017, where we were not doing well. The business wasn't great. I don't know, maybe there was a bit of a financial crisis at the time worldwide. I can't quite remember how it played out, but I know that it got a bit sort of dire at one point. And mate, that's and you know how it is with a small business. There are sleepless nights, proper stress. But the overarching vibe of, I'm still my own boss, and I still call the shots, and I don't answer to anybody. That kept driving me, I think, and kept the motivation strong, which was great. And at the end of 2018, or sort of midway through 2018, I did open a second store in Torquay as well. Which was basically, the idea was, it was just going to be a carbon copy of what I'd done in Ocean Grove. I needed to expand. I didn't need to. I wanted to expand. My ego got the better of me, and I wanted to see where I could take this thing. I had visions of franchises and all that sort of stuff going on. And 2018 was, it turned out that was the better. Things improved in 2018 for some reason. Things got better. I was able to do more workshops. I was able to just sell more prints. I was able to, print for more people. I think my website was redesigned in 2018 as well, and it became a lot better, a lot more efficient. My online print ordering system took off. That was great. So I opened a second store, naively thinking that I could run halve my time across both stores. Wasn't that a mistake? But anyway,
it wasn't. Well,
you roll with the punches.
It worked for a little bit, but then, like you said, you sort of learn from that. So what we're going to do, we're going to have like a mini break in between. I've got a couple of questions left, but what I want to do is bring up some of your photos. Hopefully you've loaded them up, because I can't see them. You're actually still hosting this show, technically. So
how very self-indulgent of me, but yes,
I know you still got control over things. But let's go through some photos, and I want you to give me a little bit of a, not 1,000 words, but maybe give me 100 words on a few words. So.
If you are listening to the show, this is the part where we implore you to pop over to YouTube at some point and check out.
This is the part where I'm meant to say that as host, aren't I? Yep. So if you are listening to the show, pop over to the off the audio, and you'll see some visual likes that you might enjoy.
So this image I've shown on the show before.
We did.
Recently.
This is one you did a couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
And the reason I want to put this one up again is because this was one of the first images I ever made money out of. So when I went and got the film processed for this, the lady who processed it said, "You've got an amazing photo of a pelican here." And when I looked at it, she's like, "Can I get a copy of that? Like, I'll give you some money for it." And and that was one of my first photos that ended up on the market stall at Yamundi. Creatively titled Golden Pelican. How did I come up with it?
Whilst taking off someone else's yacht, apparently.
On a Pentax, on the roof of a houseboat, on a Pentax ME Super. And I reckon I want to say this was shot with the 70 to 210 push-pull lens.
Yes.
Familiar, remember that thing?
Was it a Vivitar or a Pentax?
Oh, it was probably a Vivitar. It was an absolute piece of crap. I know that, but no, I shouldn't say that. It was actually built really well. It had like the stainless steel mount and all that sort of stuff.
Classic example. It didn't matter what lens it was. You sold the picture of the Pelican.
Yeah, that's
right. Remember those days were great though. Remember, you used to go and get your film, and the person that did your film goes, "Oh, geez, you've got some good ones in there." They'd be sitting there printing them, and they get excited for you before you even got there. So that was
Kodak Express in Noosaville did this, and they even went so far as to put stickers on the packet that said, "Congratulations, you've got a great shot here," or something along those lines. And I used to love it when I go and pick up my film and there'd be a sticker on there.
Yeah, you should do that with camera and photo. That'll give people a buzz.
Have done. Yes. What I'd actually do is I put a little 6x4 in there that says, "We think the next photo is pretty awesome. You should get it printed on canvas. Here's 10% off for you."
That's a great idea.
Yeah, right. As I'm marketing guru.
Yes.
So that's the pelican photo, and then next is the kangaroo photo that you spoke about earlier.
Yeah, this shot is an iconic shot. Now, you said before that you were, I quote you, pioneer canvas prints in Australia. Did you pioneer this shot as the first? You're gonna regret saying that. Do you believe you're the first one to get a shot of the Jesus kangaroo across the water? Because this does happen occasionally now. It's like you said, this is not the first time I've seen it.
I'd never seen it before that that way. Yeah. So that's not to say I was the first to photograph it, but I'd definitely never seen it.
Yeah.
So the story, like the reason I'm sitting here talking to you now, Cam, is because of this photo. There's no doubt. This is the photo that got me going. This is the one that, it's like, oh man, I've got a really cool image here. And not even to this day, like this photo was done, I can tell you exactly when it was taken. It was taken on the 9th of August, 1998, or the 9th of the 8th, 98. The planets aligned that day, and I was out there camping at Lake Catharaba, just outside Noosa Heads in southeast Queensland. The hills you can see on the horizon there, that's Noosa Heads. And I'm looking.
I've never noticed those hills before. So I don't know whether or not this is a nicer scan that you've done or recently enhanced the scan, but I've never noticed the hills in the back of that shot.
Always been there. And it was just after the sun had come up. You can see the trees on the right-hand side. There's a bit of sunlight on them. So the sun is well and truly up, which was great because it gave a nice bit of silhouette effect on the kangaroo. And I just finished taking a bunch of photos of roos that were hanging around, all on film. And I was about to put my camera down, and this kangaroo came along and sat at that point on the left-hand side. Now, I knew that water was only 6 inches deep. And you can't tell that it's 6 inches deep, but it is. No. And the kangaroo sort of looked at me, looked at the water, and I just put my camera up instinctively. Like I knew this thing was going to take off. And to give you a bit of a feel for it, it's dead quiet. There's no wind. You can see the lake's almost a perfect mirror. And basically it went something like splash, 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 click, splash, splash, splash. That was basically it.
So you only got the one frame of that moment. You didn't get multiple frames?
I've got that one, and then this is a manual wind camera cam, so I had to hold my breath, because I knew if I took the photo too early and I had to wind on, I wouldn't have got it dead center. Yeah. And mate, you can run a tape measure over this thing. That kangaroo is dead center, and that is the full piece of 35 mil frame of 35 mil film. So, I got it right. I mean, I'm stoked. I love this photo, and as I said, lucky to have it. But and it was a shot that sort of put me on the map, if you like.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the first shots I remember seeing from my memory of your work, and I remember thinking to myself, all right, that's lucky. You lucky bastard. You've done really well then. Because everyone wants a shot like this in their portfolio. They want some, if you look through my work or you look through your work or anyone else, that we've had on the show, there's one iconic image that they're probably maybe not known for, but they're probably the proudest of, or the most special. But that's easily, for me, that's your top of the list, and I think you agree. But and the thing is, what I love more about this photo than anything else is exactly what you just explained then about, this is on a wine camera. You can't just hold the shutter down and do 20 frames a second and pick the one you like. This is all timing. It's there's a bit of luck involved from being there, but it's all timing and skill to get that shot. It's a one-off. No one else has it. It's a one-off. It's a classic.
Yeah, thank you. I'm very proud of it, and I've been lucky enough. Last count, it was like 35 different countries that this has been sent to. This image. And it's still available for sale in my shop. Some days I would go to the Yamundi markets and only sell this image, but sell it 25 times.
You should have a 30th year anniversary edition.
Coming up
30,
soon,
30, 20, 30.
No, it'll be nearly 30, yeah. So in 3 years' time, it'll be 30 years since I shot that photo, which is just blows my mind.
Limited to 30 prints only at $30,000 a piece.
That's right. It's funny, you said before about whether, what I would do more of in my photography, and I said sport. Wildlife, I think, as well, for sure.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I think shooting wildlife was the thing that got me going early doors. Landscape I really enjoyed, but and this is why I've just noticed that the first 4 photos I'm showing here are all wildlife. I don't know if you've seen this one before, Ken.
I have seen that one. That's on Fraser Island, or whatever they refer to that now. Yeah.
Kagari. That's so this is a wild dingo on Kagari, and that's on the shores of Lake Mackenzie, shot on film. You can see the grainy 400, probably Konica Minolta crap film that I used to shoot on.
But how good does grain look? It looks good grain.
Yeah. But check out the depth of field. I mean, that is with now. This is on the K1000 with an f2.8 lens, and I kid you not, I am about 2 feet from that dingo. Yeah. So on Fraser, they are very used to people, and this guy, he's actually quite a young pup, and very curious, very playful. You're encouraged not to engage with them, certainly not feed them, which we would never have done. But yeah, I just sort of did the old commando crawl. Got closer and closer, as close as this dingo would allow me without freaking it out. I got that shot, and about 30 seconds later, that dingo got up, went over to my camera bag, picked it up, and took it off into the bush.
There you go. See, there's a really good lesson there as well. Like we have lots of customers and workshop attendees and things like that who are too scared to take their camera 50 meters from a beach, let alone do a commando roll through the sand on your belly to get a shot of the dingo. But that's the kind of thing you need to do, especially with wildlife stuff. You need to get down and dirty and get, as one with the subject. And again, another classic example of, like I said, depth of field, but, getting down there and getting into its face without intruding too much to get that classic shot. So it's a good lesson.
Yeah, this is also on Fraser, and not the same trip. I went to Fraser many times because I lived not too far from there. This is shot on my Nikon Nikon, what was it, F70? Yeah, F70, which I bought after I'd started to make a bit of money at the markets and thought I was a real photographer, so I thought it'd be a real camera, so I got a Nikon F70. The reason I'm showing this photo is because this photo, so when I was living up on the Sunshine Coast, I want to say in about 2001, maybe 2001, must have been 2001, they had a Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, also known as CHOGM.
Yes.
And the Queen came and stayed at Twin Waters Resort on the Sunshine Coast. And I was very lucky to have that very image there chosen to be hung in the Queen's room.
Really?
So yeah,
that's
yeah.
I didn't know that story. That's cool.
Yeah, I was found. They found it at the someone spotted me at the Yamundi markets. I had that photo in my collection. They were looking for Australian wildlife photos. The guy that I spoke to said that we'll put this up for recommendation. The Queen, with her, her love of dogs, corgis, that sort of stuff, will love it. And yeah, we ended up matting it in the royal blue matting with the purple inlay, and then a very ornate gold frame. I'm told it hung in her room. I'm told she liked it. I never got it back. I didn't really care. It's in someone's collection now somewhere. I don't know, but that's a cool little story.
Yeah, excellent. Again, film. All these photos have been on film so far. This is
the first 4 are all shot on film. The next, from here on, it switches to digital. I wanted to put this photo up next because this is my backyard. This is Ocean Grove.
Yes.
It's such a cool place to photograph. I'm so lucky to be in this area where I can literally be 10 minutes from a shot like that. If I see a sunset kicking off, I can bolt down to the beach and get to this place here. Have I ever taken you to that spot, Cam? I don't think I have.
I've never seen a shot of stairs that you've put up before. Is this new line of work that you're doing, or
new territory? Yeah.
That's which ones are these? Which stairs are these? 13.
This is 9W. This one
9W. Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
9 West.
Yeah. Again, you've certainly made a market, and I think this is something that you do very well. Is that where you are located, you represent very well. So a lot of people might live at Ocean Grove, but they might have a handful of great shots, but then travel all over the place. You just continue to perfect where you live and really show off the region that you live in, which some people might think that's a little bit one-dimensional, but I think it's creative and also probably a good business attribute to have, where you can have you got your captive market coming into your shop and you've got beautiful pictures of the region all hanging on the wall, ready to go.
Yeah. I have to pay the rent, right? So why would I have photos of Cradle Mountain on my walls? That's, I mean, they're gorgeous photos, sure, but it doesn't resonate with people, particularly tourists and people that see. Ocean Grove is one of those coastal country towns that people come back to year after year. As they're driving out of the caravan park, they're booking the spot for the next year, and families have done that for generations down here. And I'm talking back, into the early 1900s when, I've had people who've told me that their family have holidayed here for 100 years, which is pretty awesome. So when they come through my shop and they see this sort of stuff, that just resonates. They go, that was the stairs that we walked down. I got proposed to on that beach. My grandfather's ashes are spread there, all that sort of stuff. And that makes it a lot more emotive. But being able to capture it in its best light and make it look pretty is a bonus. But it's really that emotional attachment that people have to the area that helps me. And as I say, it's a means to an end. It helps keep the doors open at camera and photo.
A bit of a side question that is, do you find these days that you shoot more from a business sense of what you will sell? Or do you find that you still will have moments where you're like, wow, this is a great moment. It's not something I'm going to sell, but I've got to capture this because I'm here. Do you find you sway either way?
In a lot of ways, that's where I find myself very lucky, insofar as I use the local area to pay the rent and shoot commercially, as you say. And then when I get to travel and when I get to do tours with you, or when I go out, traveling on the Great Ocean Road, or, anywhere where I'm traveling, that's when I can be as creative as I want to be and tap into that side of photography. Because unless I take a kangaroo on water photo, which, is a 1 in a million shot that I'll probably never get again or anything like it again, it's not going to end up in my shop. So that's where I can be creative. And it's also where I get the best photos of my family as well. When I'm out traveling and that sort of stuff. But you're right. I do shoot with it always in the back of my mind that this might end up on the wall with a price tag on it.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. I mean,
you don't think that pigeonholes your creativity anyway?
No, I really don't. In fact, I think it helps it. I think because it's an extra carrot, right? It's not just, we all like taking good photos, and I think deep down, a lot of people who take photos harbor a desire to be able to sell them and make a living from it. So, I think it actually helps me more than hinders me.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, beautiful as always.
And then we've got, hang on, it was that. Let me just see. Next one was a place that you're familiar with. This is Hopetoun Falls up in the Otways.
Yes.
Being so close to places like the Otways, the Redwood Forest, which is down the road from Hopetoun Falls. Even, what was it, a month ago, we were there on the Great Ocean Road tour. And, I had 3 or 4 photographers with me, or want to have maybe 5 down here at Hopetoun Falls. And being able to show this off, again, being part of my own backyard, was fantastic. We have such diversity within 2 hours of Ocean Grove, and not least of which being the Otways. So the reason I chose this one is because you may notice that it's there's a lot of sunlight in that valley on the actual river itself, which quite often when you see a photo of Hopetoun Falls, it's not like that. It's always it's always misty and low light. Correct. Yeah. So I like when you can get there and it's still enough sunlight to pick up some highlights, but also you can just squeeze in a 1/3 of a second to get that movement on the water.
Yeah. Have you ever thought of doing a book or some sort of collective work about that whole region along there? I know you've done calendars probably in the past a bit, but have you ever thought of putting a book together with all your work?
Yeah, I have. I've actually drafted a couple of books along the way that'll probably end up being published at some point. But I do get asked a lot for it at the shop. Coffee table books of the area, they're good. They're great for presents and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I think at some point I will. I'm doing a 2026 calendar. I've done 2 calendars in the past. One when I opened in 2013, and then another one I think around 2019. Yeah. And now it's time for me to do another one. So there will be a 2026 calendar coming out as well.
Yep. Excellent. Beautiful.
Good spot, that one. And then, just another shot of some stairs, and very similar to the other one, but this is the next stairs along. This is 10W. And that one there has almost become front runner for my most popular photo that I sell at the shop. That one and this one. So the reason I wanted to just put this one up was because this was done when I first got into drones. And wanted to just quickly mention how much drone photography has shaped what I do now. Being able to put a camera wherever I want to, wherever I think of, is pretty cool. I mean, the technology still blows my mind.
Drones are amazing, and they are. And like, we're in Alice Springs at the moment, about to start a workshop in a couple of days, and unfortunately, I've got to say to people, we can't run the drones through any of these national parks, but it's a dead shame, because you get some incredible angles and sights that you just don't get from the ground. It's just a bit of a shame they've got a bit of a stigma to them that they're not welcome in most places, because when used responsibly in the right hands, like I said, like the picture on the screen there, you can create really magical shots at places that people don't see the angle of, and it's a bit of a shame, but. Yeah. So what drone you still got what did you use?
This image was shot on the Phantom 4.
Right. Yeah.
So it's a little bit older, but now I've got the Mavic 2 and I'm pretty close at pulling the trigger on a Mavic 4. I think the Mavic 3 was a really pathetic upgrade to the Mavic 2, so I didn't really bother. The Mavic 4 though has got some pretty cool features on it that
it's also $4,000.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I have to sell a few more photos, but that's all right. We can make that happen. One cool thing about this photo is I quite often have this on the gallery wall, the shop wall, really large. And when I do it really large, you can actually see me in this photo. So I just tell people it's a selfie.
It's a selfie. It's a Where's Wally selfie.
That's right. So I am in that photo somewhere.
You're in the car driving across the bridge.
No, I'm not driving or droning.
Is that cars going across the bridge?
They are cars.
Look how perfectly spaced they are.
I know, right? It was it was funny.
Did you just clone them in?
And I'm going to let you in a little secret here. And there's a reason why those cars are so evenly spaced and they're in a line like that is because right at the front of the queue was a garbage truck.
Oh, right. Right.
Which I made magically disappear.
You got to get rid of the garbage truck. You can't have a garbage truck in your bridge.
I didn't think it. I really want to. I want to recreate this photo, but I want those cars to be a line of combis with surfboards on the roof.
Oh yeah. That'd be cool.
I might have to talk to the local Volkswagen owners club or something like that. Moving right along. This shot here. This has also become a really popular shot for me. This was done from Ocean Grove Main Beach, looking straight across. That's the Point Lonsdale Lighthouse. Distance there. The reason I like to put this photo up is because when I've had it up on the shop wall for ages, 3 people have told me that that's them on the surfboard. You know, it's nice
because it's you. It's another selfie, isn't it?
Two of them must be lying. And,
two of them lying.
And they say, oh, that's a longboard, blah, blah. And then I tell them, no, it's a stand-up paddleboard, and the guy's actually holding a paddle, and you can't quite see it. But they quickly change their tune. One other interesting thing about that image as well is there's a couple of dragonflies silhouetted in the image. They're tiny, and every time I print this photo, I forget to clone them out, and it looks like a mistake. Perfect. It looks like an ink splodge on the canvas. But,
I get that on my Leica all the time. They come from free blotches and dust spots. It's good fun.
Yeah, that's true. And then last but not least, I wanted to put this one up because I really enjoyed, and it's not just to plug what we do, the Murray Mallee workshop, which is having a year off next year. I think we're going to do it again the year after. Yeah, you go to Kangaroo Island, apparently.
Apparently, Kangaroo Island, if we can get there.
Yeah. I think. Well, you were there when we've done this twice now. There's something I really enjoy about putting people in the right location, and you can tell they're all like, yeah, well, this is nice, but it's just a bend in a river, and then the paddle steamer comes along, and it completely changes everybody's thought process about that location, and they're hooked on getting the photo of the paddle steamer. So
it's like a preconceived idea as well. Like, I must admit, I was the same when we first did that shot. Like the river's lined with these beautiful river gums, and they look great, but you're sort of like, oh yeah, it looks okay. Put a paddle steamer in with those river gums on the Mighty Murray, and that's a story just in every frame. And that's the amazing thing about photography as well. You can add just one element in and turn it into something really important and exciting as well.
Yeah. So that's it for the photos. But if folks, if you want to see more, cameraandphoto.com.au will be linked below.
I was just saying that. Yeah. Well done. You still can't help yourself. You've got a host, don't you? All right. Well, we're going pretty well. I've got 2 more questions for you, and then we'll let you off the hot seat. 2 more questions. They should be fairly straightforward. And then we'll go. Is that the next door neighbour's dog barking again?
That bloody dog, fair income. I mean, it just knows. It knows when I'm recording. Look, it's just going to bark for a while, guys.
That's okay.
It is.
Go throw some beef Wellington. That'll do it. So, if you could get, and the only reason I'm asking this question is because I look at you every week and I look at your background, and I know that little quarter of a poster there is the Back to the Future poster. If you could have a DeLorean, and you could choose a different profession away from photography, what profession would you want to be in? What would be your ultimate profession to be in? I was going to say, keep into account you're still married with 2 kids and a mortgage.
Yeah, I probably a teacher.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I love teaching. I love teaching photography. I love imparting knowledge to people. Aside from the fact that I get to make a living out of it, that's fine. Yeah. There's something money can't buy, and that's that moment when people get it. And I've mentioned this many times on the show that, when I do the entry-level workshop, and even the simplest thing like you put the camera up to their eye and you show them how to focus it, and they say to me, it doesn't look focused, and then you just adjust the diopter, and they're like, oh my God, I was blind, now I can see. the smallest thing.
Simple things. Yeah.
Yeah, that moment of connection where all of a sudden the camera, it's not this hunk of metal anymore. It's a creative tool. That when your customer makes that transition and you feel like you've started them on some kind of journey, I love that. And I think I would get the same out of teaching. I really enjoy improvisation. Like, for example, with my kids, if we go camping, like I'm forever making up games or, telling stories and having fun and that sort of stuff. And I think probably like a primary school teacher, I would have probably gone down that path had photography not got hold of me. So yeah, I think that's where I would have ended up.
I can see you being a teacher. I reckon that'd be good.
There you go.
Yeah. You'd be one of those good teachers who have a beer on the weekend if you catch up afterwards and stuff like that. All right, last question. We're not going to leave it on too much of a downer, but so a couple of years ago, a good friend of the show, Tom Pudd, who I said earlier we don't mention, but we'll mention him. Him and I were sitting around the fire at the after party for BFOP. One of the first years him and I went there, and we started talking about this whole photography game that we do, taking photos, doing prints, editing, hard drives full of stuff. And we sort of started talking about what was the whole point of it. Like, why do we do this? What's the point of it? What are we doing it for ourselves or whatever? And we narrowed it down to a phrase that we thought fitted us both, and that was leaving a legacy behind about what we saw while we're on this planet. What's the legacy that you want to leave behind once you're a bit further on in the universe? Well, what's the one thing that you want people to look back at and say, gee, that Brendan Waits guy, he was X, Y, or what? What was he?
That Brendan Waits guy put a camera in my hand.
Yeah. Okay.
That's where I would love that. I mean, if there's one person out there that says that, that guy put a camera in my hand, like, I keep mentioning it that, I got into camera retail because I needed the money. There's no doubt about that. But I quickly learned that money is not the be all and end all. It certainly can't buy you happiness. But what does
can buy a camera?
It can buy a camera. What gets me going and floats my boat a lot is when I get someone in the store and I know that they've got it, they've got the eye for it, and this is where phone photography has been probably helped a lot because I have people coming in and they're showing me these beautiful photos on their phones, which is great. Like they're photographers, they're taking photos. That's excellent. But you can tell they're ready. They're ready for, okay, what else can I do with photography? And that's my kind of customer. And running an independent camera store that I do, I qualify sales and I can see, all right, I can tell that you're into your landscape. Okay, then let's talk about what you might need to become a better landscape photographer. And get the tools in your hand, and then they'll do my entry level workshop, and I've booked them. I think that's great. And yes, again, there's a financial side to it, but the main drive for me is still being able to get them out there taking photos.
Well, I think that goes back to also what you said about wanting to be, or if you had another profession, teacher would be what you want to do, like putting the tool in someone's hand that people can go and grow with. That's the same thing. You're sort of helping them with their growth. So, awesome. Yeah, awesome. Well, cool. I think you've survived. I think you survived the hot seat, Brent. I think we did pretty well.
Well, the questions were good for a start. I hope I didn't rabble on too long and bore the crap out of people. But it's cool. It's good. It's good to sit back and reflect, like you did last week. And it's been quite the journey. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm happy with where we're at. I'm looking forward to doing a lot more of it. I've still got a lot more to give, even though, as I said, I've slid quietly into the back nine of my life. But I'm very, very much looking forward to what the next probably 10, 15 years brings. And look, more of this, more of the Down South Photo Show, I say. This has been. Should we
franchise it out? Should we franchise it out?
No, you don't know. No, you don't understand, Cam. You got to do one thing really well rather than two things half-assed.
Oh, really? That's what I've been going wrong. Well, thank you, Brendan, for your time. It's been a pleasure getting to know you. I'm sure the viewers have enjoyed listening to you and your journey from the humble beginnings in Swan Hill all the way to, being the second host of the Down South Photo Show. We have some beer donations. To IC. We have some beer donations, which we'll quickly shout out, because if we don't shout out, people get grumpy and send us shitty emails. So
we can't have that.
Mel H sent us a slab because he's a legend.
Oh, Mel, thank you.
That's it. He must have known you were going to need it after this interview, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Shaz Bang, thank you, Shaz Bang. She's sent us some beers. Anne Bonza, Joseph F, and probably number 3 ticket holder, Jenny C, or number 2, number 1. I'm not too sure where she sits on the list these days, but of course, if you want to check out any of Brendan's work, cameronphoto.com.au, it'll all be in the links below. We're on the show every week. I get to give up my host seat next week and go back to being the normal idiot Dickie Nee sitting in the other one. But I want to thank you, Brendan, for all your time and efforts, and I want to thank you for your friendship over the last 20 years as well. And you are right. You are a teacher. You've taught me a lot of things about my business and photography, and just how to be a good bloke. So I appreciate that. And I think we
definitely didn't teach anyone how to be a good bloke. That's not on me.
It's a sliding scale. But hopefully we can have this chat again in 10 years' time and see where we're at as well. So
I have no doubt we will give that a go. Thank you for having me on, Cam. No worries at all. No one listens this far, so this is where we just
listens this far. That's where we wrap. That's right. But
can I ask real quick?
Yes.
What are you doing in Alice Springs?
What am I doing in Alice Springs? We are running a workshop, the Red Centre workshop. So on Saturday, we head out to the Western East McDonnell Ranges, and then we head down for a couple of days down to Uluru. So I am co-hosting this with the World Expedition Mob, who have asked me to help put on a photography tour up there as sort of one of their tours with my customers, but their sort of itinerary. The wonderful Cheryl is also co-hosting this as well. So this is the first time I've been up this way. It's the first time Cheryl's been up this way, and we did a bit of scouting tonight, and we like what we see already. So we'll be up here. So next week I'll be able to probably share some hopefully good photos from up in the Red Centre of Uluru and all those really cool things. But for now, we'll wrap it up. Thanks again, Brendan, for your time. Hope everyone enjoyed it.
No worries at all. Do you know how to do a sign-off, Cam?
Yeah, next week we'll see you there. Be sure to like and subscribe to the page. And until next week, say goodbye, Brendan.
Goodbye, Brendan.
Thank you. See you next week, folks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.